Oh, what a mess.
This is Neil Schneider from Meant to Be Seen. Welcome back to my messy basement. So over the past several episodes of the series, I've been very focused on home entertainment, playing 4K Blu-rays on a PC, calibrating your projector, surround sound, using the latest generation Dolby Atmos and DTS-X, even how to set up a surround sound system. We've been covering a lot here. Now, I'm very excited about immersion in my home entertainment, and it's very difficult to talk about immersion without talking about virtual reality. Now, my experiences with VR, I've been at this for some time, but as far as really digging deep, the equipment I've had access to until now were like the HTC Vive, the Oculus Rift CV1, the Sony PlayStation VR, and the Acer mixed reality headset. So what do all these products have in common? Well, they're pretty much first generation stuff. I mean, it's years out of date, and there's been a lot of progress since. So I thought it'd be a great idea to do an in-depth review of the HP Reverb G2. Now, the second edition. So this is the latest refresh of the HP Reverb G2. I'm going to talk about its hardware, the software support, and of course, the user experience. So let's talk a little bit about the hardware. Now, this goes for $599 US MSRP, so maybe you could get a better deal than that. It's a PC-based solution. Some call it PCVR. So there are other solutions on the market that you don't need a gaming PC attached. Okay, but PCVR, a big advantage is that a gaming PC will give you a really enriching experience. Okay, there's a lot of processing power there, and so there is a very big advantage to PC VR solutions in that respect. Now, from a resolution point of view, it's 2160 by 2160 pixels per eye. Now, field of view, so it's really basically the scope of the visuals. Now, it's interesting, HP doesn't publicize their field of view on the website. So I sourced this from other media sites. So the horizontal field of view is estimated at 98 degrees across and 114 degrees vertical. Refresh rate is 90 hertz, okay? And something interesting, the first generation of equipment that I had, so the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift, you needed additional equipment for tracking. So in the case of the Vive, there were laser emitters that would, that the HMD would use as a reference point to determine how it's positioned. Oculus had external cameras for their headsets. Well, in the later generations of VR, they use something called inside-out tracking. So this is an example, so that you don't need any extra equipment, that the headset can indeed, figure out how it's positioned, as well as how the controllers are positioned. And you don't need extra equipment to make that possible. Another feature which is neat is it has a slider for interpupillary distance. So something that's very important is that the imagery in the headset, and if possible the lenses themselves, should be calibrated according to where your pupils are, so is that it's a comfortable, clear image for you. So this actually has a hardware adjustment to make that possible. It weighs just over a pound, so 1.2 pounds or 550 grams. As I hinted at earlier, it comes with two hand controllers. Another feature, which I'll talk a little bit later, is it comes with two built-in speakers, so you don't need to buy extra headphones to make this work, and it comes with a 6-meter cable, so that works out to just over 19.5 feet. So and this is important for room scale or walking experiences. So just to point out, I mentioned that this is version 2. So there was an earlier version of the HP Reverb G2, and within the last year, they gave it a bit of a refresh. The big changes are it has an adjustable faceplate, so that for your comfort, you could actually be a little bit closer to the lenses. The cable has the cable was updated as well, that it has a power button, so that you could turn the headset off at a hardware level, and the tracking was improved a little bit. That the cameras had a little bit of an update, that it could see a little more of the room at the time, that the tracking's a little more accurate. So really good stuff. Now, something to be aware of, if you're buying an HP Reverb G2 today, much more likely than not, you're going to get the latest edition of the HP Reverb G2. You're more likely than not going to get the basically you're going to get the new version. And just to double check, how to know you have that new version is the power cable and that removable adjustable faceplate. So those are the indicators that you do indeed have the second edition of the HP Reverb G2. Now, HP is partnered with Microsoft, and this is based on the Windows Mixed Reality platform. So that's the software platform that Microsoft makes. It's part of the Windows 10 and Windows 11 operating systems. And it is also supported by SteamVR. So Valve, of course, has been supporting VR for years with their SteamVR platform. And they are a recognized partner with Windows Mixed Reality. So as far as how I went about testing this is my testing equipment. I'm using a Gigabyte Z170 XP SLI motherboard, an Intel 6th generation i7, so it's Intel i7 6700K, EVGA, my GPU is an EVGA RTX 2080 Super. I'm running off 16 gigs of RAM, and I'm using Windows 10. Image quality. I think you're going to find I think my findings will be what you're hearing elsewhere. Excellent. Very, very clear. One of the big challenges with the early generations of VR headsets is they had something called a screen door effect, where you could literally see the pixelation of the imagery because the resolution wasn't high enough. Well, I can tell you for certain that I see no screen door effect with the HP Reverb G2. It's really very, very clear. Another benefit, in fact, it's so clear that you could read very fine text while you're in virtual reality. Normally, in first generation headsets, it was maybe a clean blob at best, but this is really clear. You could view your Windows desktop and work and read text and do whatever you need in virtual reality. It will be absolutely clear. I mentioned that it supports up to 90 Hertz for the refresh rate. It's good to have a high refresh rate for comfort when you're in virtual reality. You can set it to 60 Hertz, okay, if you want to go at a lower refresh rate. For me personally, I found a bit of a strobe effect. It was more comfortable for me at the 90 Hertz rating. Now, I brought up, of course, this is a very, very clear. There is a limitation, okay, that it isn't unique to this unit. Other headsets face it as well, is that there's a sweet spot, okay? So right, like at the center of the lens, there's a point where it's absolutely, absolutely crystal clear. But if you move your pupil outside that center point of the lens, you will notice that it blurs, okay? So it gradually gets a little bit blurrier as you go towards the outside of the lens. This isn't unique to HP. It is a limitation of the technology where we're at today. However, it also speaks to why this hardware adjustment for interpupillary distance is so important, that you want to get the lenses as close as center on each of your eyes so that you're less likely to look outside that sweet spot. Now, if you're a glasses wearer, okay, so if you're like me and you wear glasses, you'll still need to wear your glasses while you're using the HP Reverb G2. If you don't need glasses, you're going to put it on, it's going to be crystal clear. If you need glasses, you got to keep wearing them, all right? Or otherwise, it's just going to be as blurry as you see life in real life, unfortunately. Now, from a comfort point of view, okay, there's a caveat here. Okay, when I'm talking about comfort, I'm talking about comfort without wearing glasses. All right, very comfortable. It's easy to wear for hours at a time without problem. The time will just go flying by, and you'll be fine. The cabling, I mean, this is like almost a 20-foot cable. Okay, I like that the cable is relatively thin. It's about the thickness of a standard HDMI cable. And I thought the cable management was pretty easy. Okay, like I wasn't tripping on the cable. It's not split up into a few different directions. It's just is very easy to manage. I've been playing all kinds of virtual reality experiences. Some are more action oriented than others, and I did not have any trouble with lenses fogging up while I was playing. Like sometimes if you're playing a steamy game, you'll get steamy lenses, but I didn't have that problem with the HP Reverb G2. If you're like me, if you wear glasses, you're going to run into trouble. Okay, it's marketed that you can wear the HP Reverb G2. It's marketed that you can wear glasses with the headset, and you can, and I did, but it's very painful. Okay, the headset, even though it weighs just over a pound, that's weight that is pushing down, or could be pushing down, on the bridge of your nose. And I got to tell you, with all the adjustments I tried and I attempted, it was an exercise of endurance, of how long I'm willing to play in VR versus how much pain I could experience wearing the headset. Another thing to be concerned with is that, depending on your glasses, there's a risk that the lenses of your glasses could rub against the lenses of the headset. It's a small risk that they would rub, but there is a chance that you could scratch the lenses of the headset or your glasses by doing that. And if you scratch the lenses, that's unfortunately your responsibility. That didn't happen to me. Okay. But all the same, it's a concern. Fortunately, there is a readily available solution. What you can do, and this is common for other headset makers as well, is you can buy prescription lenses that are made just for you. And I bought mine from a company called WidMover, WIDMOVR. They range in price from anywhere from $80 to $115 US. It all depends on what kind of script you need. Okay, some are more aggressive than others, but all the same, you'll get the lenses in the mail. And I've got mine. They literally just plug on. This is what I'll get a picture of this, but it's just a custom lens. It squeezes onto the lens in the headset, and I'll just show you. I just put it on. See, I'm told you're not supposed to get photographed wearing a head-mounted display, but I'll do it as a courtesy. I put it on, and again, it's very comfortable. Like once you've got your own lenses in there, it's really comfortable and crystal clear. Really happy with it. Now, The audio. This is unique as well. I mentioned earlier that these aren't headphones. These are over-ear speakers. Okay, and they're very full sounding and clear. Okay, like it's not. They don't. For me at least, they're not tinny, or they don't sound cheap. They sound really good. I thought that the positional audio was excellent. Okay, so when even though you're just wearing a pair of speakers, okay, you've only got two of them. So through the software, they mimic what you'd experience through, say, a surround sound system, that you could hear where things are coming from, and I thought it was really good. Now the thing is, these are over the ear speakers. And the reason why it's done this way is so that even though you're in virtual reality, you should still be able to hear what's going on around you. So unfortunately, if I need to be called upstairs, I don't have an excuse, because I should be able to hear it, even though I'm in VR. Now, if for whatever reason you don't like using this, okay, I've been very happy with it. I haven't had a need otherwise, but you can actually remove them. They unscrew, they easily unplug, you can take them off, and you could use your own headphones by directly connecting to your PC. So there's a solution there as well. Now there is a challenge. Okay, there is a limitation here. It won't affect most people, but it does affect me. I love Dolby Atmos. Okay, I mean, I have a full surround sound setup here, and I've got an extra subwoofer. Like, I've got a whole setup that when I get Dolby Atmos, I get like this really full experience. Now, one of the games that supports Dolby Atmos is Flight Simulator 2020. Excellent game. It comes highly recommended. They've really done a lot of work to make it an excellent experience in virtual reality. The thing is, I want to play in virtual reality with the HP Reverb G2, but I want the audio not to come from these over-ear headphones. I want the audio to come from my booming surround sound speakers in Dolby Atmos, the way it's intended through Flight Simulator 2020. Unfortunately, when you're using the HP Reverb G2, you do not have a choice to use Dolby Atmos. You have to use their headphones. Okay, you don't have a choice. There is an exception, though. Okay, there are other games that I do enjoy using the speakers instead of the headphones. Like I'll give you an example: Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous. They have an excellent VR implementation. Okay, what I can do is through SteamVR, okay, which is one of the solutions that this supports. I can have the visuals going to the headset, but through SteamVR, have the audio go to my surround sound system instead. It's 5.1, so it's not full Dolby Atmos, which I want in Flight Simulator, but I still get to enjoy the VR experience, with all my controllers and the whole thing, with the booming audio. Okay, so that's a choice available to me, but it only works if you're running your game or your content through SteamVR. It would be good if Windows Mixed Reality had something similar for Dolby Atmos, because they do, their game, Flight Simulator 2020, is coded to support it, so there's a missed opportunity there. Now, as for the controllers, so it comes with two controllers, of course. I find they're comfortable to wear. Okay, they've got analog triggers, which means that they detect every little motion. It's not just on/off. They actually detect, every little motion. They've got control sticks at the top, buttons, the whole thing. I've been able to play all my games. I have not been forced to turn a game away because the controller is any different from something else on the market. In fact, you could customize the inputs to make sure it's compatible in most cases. The controllers feel a bit more fragile than they really are. This is very similar to the original Windows mixed reality controller design. Like all the different manufacturers were using something similar. Not a lot has changed really, but again, I've been happy with them. I haven't run into any issues with the controllers. And just so you know, like the types of games I've been playing, I've tried Beat Saber, though I really suck at it. Honestly, it's not my choice, but I've played Half-Life Alyx, Star Trek Bridge Crew. Of course, I've been using the controllers in Flight Simulator. I've been doing bow and arrow games, so as part of my testing, I did Steam's The Lab. They have a bow and arrow game, and I thought that would be a good test to make sure the tracking's okay. And I've been able to get through several rounds in that. So from the point of view of being able to play the games I want to play, I haven't run into any issues with the controllers. There is a little bit of a caveat though with the controllers, is that usually what happens is the controllers will come with their own batteries built in. Actually, I shouldn't say usually. Some solutions have the batteries built in. I take that back. It shouldn't be usually. But anyway, so with these controllers, they run on 2 AA batteries each. Okay. Now, what I've read, based on what I've read, nickel metal hydride or NiCad batteries, which are like standard rechargeable batteries, you may run into some trouble. It's just based on what I read. Okay, and what's recommended is you buy lithium-ion rechargeables. The reason why lithium-ion rechargeable batteries are encouraged is because they put out the full 1.5 volts. Okay, other rechargeables put out a lower voltage that could potentially throw the equipment off. And they're long-lasting batteries. So like a single charge could last me over a week, and I play my fair share of virtual reality. So you'll get a lot of battery life, and you'll be able to recharge for it. So it's money well spent. Now, okay, I talked about the tracking, and by the way, the tracking for the controllers I thought was really good, as I mentioned before. The only hiccup is if the controllers were really close to my face, because it's a little harder for the cameras to pick up where they are, but very minor. I really can't speak to any major controller issues. But as far as the headset, looking around the room, being well positioned, very, very sharp. Okay, I did not run into any tracking issues with the headset either. Now let's talk a little bit about the software. So I mentioned that the HP Reverb G2 is based on the Windows Mixed Reality platform. This is, I was expecting things to change over the years, and I was very surprised that the platform is almost like identical to what it was like over 4 years ago. Okay, so not much has changed. But it's the old expression, if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? So, but all the same, I thought that the environment would have gone through some big changes over the years, but it looks very much the same. What I do like about it, though, is it comes with the operating system. So if you have Windows 10, you'll need to go through some software updates, for bug fixes, as is the norm. But it's there for you. You don't have to do any unusual installations. If you have Windows 11, okay, I'm going by hearsay because I have not installed Windows 11 yet. What I'm reading is it's a hit or miss experience. Some say it works for them without a problem. Others can't get it running at all. Okay, so you're going to have to research if Windows 11, if this is the right choice for you. For me, I'm running Windows 10. I've had 0 issues, okay? As far as the setup for Windows Mixed Reality, they have a very easy chaperone-style room setup. So one of the challenges is when you're doing room scale, okay? It means you're walking around the room, and you should clear your floor and so on. But you do want to know when you're about to hit a wall or you do want to know when you're about to approach, some furniture. You don't want to trip or hurt yourself. So what a chaperone system will do is it will display a virtual wall, so you know that you've hit your limit. And the way it sets itself up is you go through a setup process and you walk this headset around the room to mark the boundaries. And I really, it worked really well. Like, even if I was crawling on the floor, it knew exactly where I was, and I felt very, very safe. If you want to save on performance, so let's say your computer, is so-so, they do offer some options there to reduce the resolution, like make it like half the resolution it would normally display. You could also lower the nature of the environment, like reduce the environment that you're in so that the computer doesn't have to work very hard. Something I really liked was that they figured out a way to take advantage of the cameras on the headset. So I mentioned, if you look carefully, there's 2 cameras in the front and there's 2 additional cameras on the side for tracking. What they do is they have a flashlight feature. You can either say like flashlight on, flashlight off, like it'll pick up your voice, or you could do a button combination on your controllers, and you'll actually be able to see outside your headset. So you can walk around. You can even see the chaperone boundaries as they relate to your real environment. It was a nice feature. It was a nice feature, and it really it helped add to the safety, and it helped prevent. It helped protect me when my son was sneaking up to me in virtual reality. Now, as far as the chaperone, I brought up about the chaperone. It's easy to see, it's easy to adjust, easy to set up, very reliable. Something I was surprised with were there weren't any color options. You only got a white chaperone. It's not a problem. I was able to see it in all my games, in all my environments. It's not an issue. But I was surprised that there weren't choices in changing its color in the Windows mixed reality environment. Another challenge is that from a social media point of view, when it comes to capturing pictures and videos, it's clunky. Okay, you could click on a button in the Windows mixed reality, or there's certain button combinations. But I found that the visuals didn't look as I was seeing them in VR. It didn't work all the time. It was just clunky. So that was a limitation. Now, here's the thing. From a software point of view, Windows mixed reality as a platform is decent. Like I mentioned, it hadn't changed, but if it's not broken, don't fix it. It works. Everything is there. But from a Windows mixed reality platform's point of view, like as a store, if you were looking for new content or anything like that, there's almost nothing there. Like if you look at the store, there's like a handful of titles. Some of it is really old. There's almost nothing there. So really, the way I think of Windows mixed reality is it's kind of like a shell. It's a shell that other products work through. Now, fortunately, Windows mixed reality has, I'll call it a partnership. Okay, I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm going to use that word, with SteamVR. And SteamVR or Valve Steam, they have a very big virtual reality content library. So what you do is once you've installed Windows mixed reality, they actually encourage you to install SteamVR. You get that installed, and you'll have a pretty wide library of games and content to play on the HP Reverb G2. So fortunately for that, okay, you'll have a lot of experiences to play with. Now, what I found is that running SteamVR in the Windows mixed reality environment, it performs very well. I'm wondering if the games were were supporting Windows Mixed Reality directly, if they would work a little better. I don't know, but my experience is I was enjoying, from what I could tell, full speed experiences. SteamVR, as I mentioned, it does give more audio flexibility than the Windows Mixed Reality experience. Content library I mentioned. Another thing you could do is, if for whatever reason a game does not support these controllers directly, they do have controller profiles that you can adjust in SteamVR, so they do ultimately work for you. And I'm going to give you some settings recommendations a little bit later to get you started. Now here's the thing, okay? So I talked about Windows Mixed Reality, I talked about SteamVR, I talked that they have a partnership and you've got to install a little bit extra software. And this actually speaks to a challenge as well. Works great, however, it is a bit techy in nature. Okay, this isn't something you're going to just take off the shelf and get it running. You're going to, you have to be willing to do a little bit of research. Another thing I found is that the default settings that SteamVR encourages, or that Windows Mixed Reality encourages, it may be wrong for your personal setup. Okay, so you may have to do a little extra work. Something I would encourage I had to do is that I had to go on the beta channel. So in Steam, when you're getting SteamVR and the Windows plugins, instead of just going with what's available today, like their official release, it's actually better to go on the beta channel because they're doing regular updates. Now, it's good that they're doing regular updates, but at the same time, it speaks to that there's continual development going on to get the product to where you need it to be. So, some observations, okay, general observations, with using the HP Reverb G2. It demands a lot of horsepower, okay? At 2160 by 2160 per eye, running at 90 hertz, it requires horsepower. There's no other way to put it. Now, HP, in their marketing material, they're recommending an NVIDIA GTX 1080 or an AMD RX 5700 or better, and I have to go with better. Okay, if you're running, I'll call them VR snack games. Okay, like they're good experiences, but they're snacks. They're not going to be very demanding, and they're going to be great. But if you're talking about like a flagship title, like Flight Simulator, or Half-Life Alyx, or Star Wars Squadrons, or I've tried all of them. You need a beefier machine. And just to put this in perspective, I really thought I had the cream of the crop, and I did. Maybe I did. I did, right? The RTX 2080 Super. It's probably a graphics card that fewer people have, because it's not not easy, and it was really being driven hard. I mean, it just was. So if you're going to get an HP Reverb G2, you're going to get a top experience, but just be aware you got to have horsepower there to drive it. This isn't something that's going to run off a mobile processor. Now, as far as recommended settings, for Windows Mixed Reality, when it comes to the resolution profile, when it comes to the environment that you're in, if you can do it, my recommendation is to max everything out. Full resolution, everything. Now, in SteamVR, you have to set something called a super sampling rate. Okay, so I'll explain this really quick. The resolution in each eye is 2160 by 2160 pixels. But the thing about virtual reality is, because of the shape of the lens, you lose some pixels in the exchange. Okay? And to make it really clear, you have to ask the computer to send more pixels to the display. So Steam has their own setup where it will automatically detect the amount of pixels that it thinks your computer can render and send it to the display. My recommendation is to set a manual setup. Find out what Steam recommends and change it to a manual setup so it doesn't waver on you. For me, the setting it recommended was 3172 by 3100 pixels. Just a rule of thumb in the back of your mind, you really want to set up that you're sending about 40% more pixels than the resolution stated for the head-mounted display. Okay, so what you do is, let's say if this is set at 2160 by 2160 pixels, you figure out, okay, well, what would be 40% above that? And that's your goal. Okay, more than that, you may not get the same benefit. 40%, from what I've read, is the magic number. Here's another challenge. Okay, now there's a solution, but it's a challenge all the same. Chromatic aberration. So, big word, right? I didn't know I was going to be learning those words, chromatic aberration. So the thing about what chromatic aberration is when light is flowing from the panels in the back, the LCD panels, through the lens, they may not focus quite right. All right, because of the curvature of the lens, all the light may not land on your eye the way we want it to land. Okay, so the problem with chromatic aberration is, depending on what you're looking at and the angle that you're looking at it, you may see some doubling. Now, from what I've seen, okay, if you don't wear glasses, okay, if you're not wearing any glasses or corrective lenses, you shouldn't be experiencing this problem. Okay, it's from what I've seen, is you're unlikely to experience it. But if you're wearing glasses, it's not just the lens going through its own. It's not just light going through the lenses on the head-mounted display. It has to go through your own personal lenses as well. And with all the different prescriptions that we have, that's difficult to predict. Now, fortunately, Windows Mixed Reality has a hidden solution to solve this. And what I did was I wrote a special article describing how to fix it for yourself. It's linked to in this review as well. So if you do get this solution, or maybe you have another Windows Mixed Reality solution, that should be helpful for you. So for me, by fixing the chromatic aberration with it, that really added a lot of clarity for my HP Reverb G2 experience. So let me give you a summary. So let's conclude here and give you a summary of my scores and how I arrived at them. So general features for the HP Reverb G2, I'm rating it 4.5 on 5. On the Pro side, very high resolution. It's got built-in audio, inside-out tracking. It comes with two hand controllers. It's got an adjustable face mask, very long cable at 19.5 feet. All good features. If there's a con there, just to acknowledge it, it is based on wires. You still need a cable to connect to the HP Reverb G2. We are seeing wireless solutions on the market, like Oculus has the Quest 2, for example. So maybe one day we'll get past that, but just so you know, you're going to need a cable, which it comes with. As far as ease of use, I'm going to score it 3.5 on 5. So it's very easy to connect to a gaming PC. Windows Mixed Reality is already part of Windows 10, so there isn't a lot of fresh downloading to do. SteamVR is very well implemented. And from the point of view of using the headset, provided you're not wearing glasses, very easy to put on, to wear. It's no issues there. But from a software point of view, the software, it's way too techy. Okay, like if you're, unless you're a hardcore gamer and you're willing to invest the time, I was willing to invest the time, but if you're, unless you're willing to invest the time, it's going to be it's much too techy for most people. I think also that because of Windows Mixed Reality and SteamVR having to be linked the way they are, that could confuse people as well. I found that I had to invest a lot of research time to get my games to work. Okay, or not just necessarily to get them to work, but to get them to work well. Not everyone's willing to do that research. It is worth it, okay, to get that ultimate experience. But again, expect to have to do research. And some of the important settings are hidden away. Like Chromatic Aberration, for weeks, I was using this unit. I was getting a doubled image because I was wearing glasses, or I had corrective lenses in there. The solution was there, okay, but the only way I found it was by doing personal research. And when these features, I think, should be front and center, because they really add a positive experience. And finally, for quality, okay, I'm giving it a 4 on 5. The head-mounted display, even though it's light, it's substantial. It's well put together. For certain, it's well put together, and it does feel durable. The cabling, as I said, it's relatively thin, but it's ordered. Like, it's not split up in a bunch of directions for different cables, so it's very easy to use. And I thought it was convenient. I really have little if anything to complain about the cabling. The controllers themselves, for me, I thought they have a good feel. I've been happy with them. Been able to play all my games. No issues. Unfortunately, I've dropped them more than once. No issues. As I said, they feel more fragile than they really are. Don't jam them in a wall, but just they seem durable to me. As far as if there's a con to be had, I mentioned, of course, that the HP Reverb G2 is extremely clear. However, it does have a sweet spot. That lens has to be perfectly centered on your pupil, that you get that really good remark. One little caveat about the controllers is, at least with one of them, it did develop a little bit of a squeaking issue. I wonder if you could hear it. There we go. It could be, you're not going to hear it when you're gaming, but it is something that developed. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. But that's the only issue I've had with the controller. Oh yeah, one more consideration: value. And for value, I'm giving it a score of 5 on 5. So for that $5.99 US, that's MSRP. Maybe you could do even better than that. You're getting a full package. You're getting the headset. You're getting the controllers. With the exception of the PC to drive it, there's a lot of value there. You don't have to get extra equipment for the tracking. It's all there. I described the graphics level as being very premium. The audio is built in. You don't have to get headphones, and it's good sounding audio. And again, inside out tracking. So you're getting a really good tracking solution, all included. But again, you need a really good gaming PC to drive it. It's one thing if you're, playing, older VR games, but if you're using modern VR stuff, like Flight Simulator or Elite Dangerous, like really graphics heavy stuff, you're going to need a graphics heavy computer. So my final score, averaging everything out, is 4 on 5 for the HP Reverb G2. Some quick takeaways. I'm confident most will have a really good VR experience with the G2. Like, this is, thinking back, I put back on an older headset, and it really is like sandpaper compared to, what I experienced with the HP Reverb G2. Just make sure you have a very strong gaming PC to drive it. Okay, that's going to be a very big factor to what you can play and how much you enjoy your experiences. And finally, as far as a target market for this, hardcore gamers. Be prepared. A lot will run out of the box. Maybe my experience was a little bit different. But be prepared to do research. You are going to find answers. You are going to get the experiences you're looking for, but just be prepared that you may have to do some research on your own to find those results for the HP Reverb G2. So that's all I've got to say on this front. But of course, I'm going to have more to discuss, more about immersion, more about, how to get more out of devices like this. So we'll be talking again. Thank you again for joining me in my messy basement.